Welcome back, Patriots, to the Bald Brad Show. In this episode, we have Jackie Heinrich of Fox News sparring against John Kirby over the Biden administration releasing billions of dollars in sanction relief to Iran, while Iran continues to fund terrorism all across the region as well as the globe. Hit that like and subscribe button. Leave us a short comment down below. Share this with your friends and family all over social media. Let's roll it.
Thanks, Kareem. John, you guys are issuing this warning to Iran 2 days after renewing a waiver that unlocked $10 billion in frozen funds. Don't you think Iran is paying more attention to the actions of this administration than the words?
Can't speak for the mullahs or what they're paying attention to or not, Jackie. I would remind that this sanctions waiver is renewed or up for renewal every 3 months. It's a quarterly thing. It's a sanctions package that was actually put in place by the previous administration, by President Trump and his team, that allows for Iraq to be able to work its way off of Iranian energy so that they can keep the lights on. And we're continuing to work with our Iraqi partners about how to do that. But right now, they still are dependent for a lot of energy coming from Iran. And so we don't want to penalize the Iraqi people for efforts that they're still trying to get to wean off of that. And I would remind everybody, and we've talked about this before, I think 3 months ago we probably talked about this before. None of this money goes to the mullahs. None of this money goes into Tehran. The sanctions relief that is provided actually goes to vendors that provide humanitarian assistance to the Iranian people. So not only do the Iraqi people not suffer because of this, the Iranian people aren't going to suffer because of this.
Wouldn't it be, though, the Iranian people who would suffer as a result of the teeth in the warning? I mean, you're saying you would suspend flights on Iran Air to Europe if Iran supplies ballistic missiles to Russia.
I didn't say that. Press report said that.
It's not, but it's not like, the Ayatollah flies commercial. I mean, that's the Iranian people would be the ones who'd be harmed by that if that comes to pass.
It's also not like the regime and the IRGC are thinking this is some sort of windfall, like this is somehow going to make a big difference in their support for terrorist networks in the region. I mean, they continue to support Hezbollah, Hamas, the Houthis. I could go on and on. That hasn't changed since 2018 when these waivers have been passed by this administration and the previous one. Wait, now hold on a second. So you're talking about one of the most heavily sanctioned countries on the planet, and we're still going to look at additional options if we need to. We've been nothing but clear and direct, and quite frankly forceful in pushing back on Iran's activities in the region.
In the last 3 months alone, since the last renewal, you had an Iran-backed proxy kill 3 American soldiers in a drone attack in Jordan, the Houthis in the Red Sea firing anti-ship and ballistic missiles, suicide drones, commercial vessels and Navy ships. You had, 3 atomic bombs apparently could be built in Iran with uranium's been enriched to that extent. Blinken today addressing that very issue in Vienna, saying there's still an issue of the IAEA inspectors. I mean, what have they done in the last 3 months to justify another renewal of this waiver?
Thank you, Jackie. Thank you. Just thing after thing right here in terms of what the Iranians are doing, killing American soldiers, giving billions of dollars to terrorist proxy groups all around the globe. They're creating havoc in the region. I mean, you name it, it is going on and going, here's $10 billion. No biggie. Keep going.
It's a renewal that we go through every quarter. And it's really about not penalizing the Iraqi people and the fact that they're still heavily dependent on Iranian energy. But in the last 3 months, look what else we've done. We've gone after Houthi capabilities ashore. We've got a coalition of ships in the Red Sea protecting against Houthi attacks on shipping there. We have struck back and forcefully against some of these militia groups in Iraq and Syria. We continue to have sanctions in place. Significant sanctions on the Iranian regime for multiple reasons. They're going after protesters, the support for terrorist networks, their nuclear program. I mean, there's a lot of sanctions in place. And oh, by the way, we're still conducting interdiction operations at sea to try to prevent their shipment of material and arms to some of these groups. So the idea that we're just laying back and not doing anything on Iran just flies in the face of the facts.
Nobody's saying that you're not laying flat on your back and not doing anything, but the fact is that you are sitting there still funding humanitarian aid to a country that wants to wipe Western civilization off the face of the earth. And furthermore, the whole region is being disrupted by these Iranian proxy groups that are being backed by the Ayatollah, of which you're saying that they're not going to get the money. But again, the conversation is about where's that money going, and that money that would have been ultimately going to humanitarian aid in terms of what their budget is going to their citizens is now going towards probably terrorism, because again, you just shored up $10 billion of humanitarian aid that once was probably in their budget is no longer in their budget. They can spend it over here. This is what this whole conversation's about, where this reporter presses the Biden administration on exactly, hey, this is where you say the money's going. We don't believe this is where the money is actually going. And so can you square that with what's going on and just watch how this dude weasels his way in and spins it and honestly actually contradicts himself? Let's roll it.
So what we see is an Iranian regime that, whether these waivers are issued or not, whether their people benefit from these monies or not, continues to fund hostile activities. That has not changed. It's not changed going back years.
Well, whether or not they benefit from this money, isn't that the whole point? The whole point is that they're supposed to. But the problem is, and the argument against this is that the Iranians are going to spend the same amount of money on their people as they did before, but now they've got another $10 billion or so.
I don't accept that argument. What we believe
inside.
No,
you know what the Iranians
no.
are doing?
What we believe is the Iranian regime is going to spend the same amount of money on destabilizing activities, because it always has. And we will take actions to hold them accountable for those destabilizing activities, as we have from the beginning of this administration. What we have seen is that when these waivers have been issued, that money has been used for the benefit of the Iranian people. Period.
Hey, they're going to destabilize the region when we don't give them money. So even when we give them money, they're still going to destabilize the region. So hell, we might as well just give them the money because they're going to destabilize the region anyways. How about if they're going to destabilize the region, you just don't give them the money, okay? That's for one, but he continues.
Period.
Yeah, and then the money that they had inside of Iran that would have been spent on this is then freed up for...
You are making an assumption that the Iranian government...
No.
Well, let me finish. You are making an assumption when you say that the Iranian government is choosing the benefit of its people over funding terrorism and funding other destabilizing actions. That's not what we've seen. We've seen them. No, I'm not. I've seen them as a first priority fund destabilizing activities. We think increasing the amount of money that flows for the benefit of the Iranian people is something that's worthwhile. And again, this is not that money that was paid, that Iraq owes to Iran for electricity that Iran delivered.
Yeah, but you're twisting it at 180 degrees.
Yes.
So the opposite of what I'm not saying that they're not going to spend any of this money on food and medicine and
that's all this money can be spent on.
Yeah, but that means that they have X amount of dollars more in their own treasury that they can spend on destabilizing activities.
Only if you assume they were going to fund food and medicine and other activities. And I'm saying that's not a necessarily correct assumption.
But
they could make the choice.
You said that they were. And you said also that even if they are
so,
spending that money, that they're going to still fund destabilizing activities.
I said their first priority is to fund destabilizing activities.
So then why would you give them money?
Because this money will not
give them money. But why would you do this?
I feel like we're arguing in circles here a little bit.
Well,
why would you do it?
Not for the first time.
No, it's not. And this has gone back for several administrations now. Because I don't understand your argument that you can be so sure that none of this money is going to increase the amount of cash that Iran spends to destabilize the region.
Because Iran does not, what we see is when making its choices for how to spend its money, the Iranian regime does not choose to feed its people first. Exactly. They choose to fund destabilizing activities first. They always have. As far as we can tell, they always will. So when we're looking at this money, we see the benefit to allowing these funds.
We don't need to let him continue. It's astonishing, you guys. Hey, we know that the Iranians are going to sit there and put money into efforts that's going to destabilize the region. They're going to continue to fund upwards of $1 billion+ into terrorist proxy groups. We know that they're not going to sit there and put money towards humanitarian aid or to feed their citizens. So let's give them $10 billion to not only help feed their citizens, but also shore up billions of dollars to increase their budget that's going towards terrorism, of which you just said was their number one issue in terms of what they're going to put money towards. And the reporters here going, how does that make any sense? You're freeing up money that they would have been getting at least some humanitarian aid, But now you freed up even a lot more money that now that they're not going to give humanitarian aid, now they're going to give even more money to terrorist proxy groups to destabilize the region, of which you just got done saying was their number one thing. Oh my God. Oh, you can't make this up, but this is the Biden administration. Democrats are going to show up in millions to vote for this administration that's giving money to terrorist organizations. They've done it before. Barack Obama gave them $1 billion in cash. Cash and pallets to spend towards terrorism. Holy lordy, folks. Let me know what you think about this one in the comment section below. We have a show every morning, 7 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, hour-long podcast. We'd love for you to join us. Hit that like and subscribe button. Leave us a comment down below on what you think about this video. Folks, I'll see you tomorrow here on The Ball Brad Show.